So Triple H started SummerSlam Night 2 by saying welcome to SummerSlam Night 2 and oh my gosh, we've got a big surprise for you later, which was a little weird thing to do. And then the show just ended and we never have to talk about it again. I mean, seriously, why? Why does it have to be nonsense after every single pay-per-view? It's getting exhausting. However, we shall go through SummerSlam Night 2. We shall talk about it. I shall give you my feelings. I am Simon, the Bald A-Hole. This is the only review wrestling show you do need. This is the Finger of Power, where we give good bits an up and bad bits a down. If you're now saying to yourself, that sounds absolutely ridiculous, have you looked out the window at the moment? The world is pretty ridiculous. So we may as well lean into it. When we basically copied WrestleMania Night 2 to kick off SummerSlam Night 2 because it was for the WWE Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley taking on Io Sky, taking on Naomi. Naomi had a WrestleMania type entrance because her dad played it to the ring, bam, 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 on a guitar, so that was nice. And surprise, surprise, they just had a flipping good, excellent wobble match. So that's Naomi as well, because she just bailed at the start, like, I'm not going to fight you two. So Rhea looked at Io, and Io looked at Rhea and said, well, we could just go out there and punch her right in the face. And that's exactly what they did. It then went full WWE, because Rhea Ripley accidentally smashed Io Sky in the face. So, man, I didn't mean to do that. I was like, Rhea, I do totally understand this, but it is a triple threat match. Technically, you did a good thing, even if you didn't mean to. Of course, we have the story here as well that Rhea has never beaten Io Sky, and I actually thought that was the best thing about it, because Rhea Ripley had this match won around about 45,622 times, but other people kept breaking it up, which is why she had a meltdown at the end. Also, Io Sky did an acai moonsault. It looked pretty damn badass. But bada boom, there's a 1 on the dive counter. That's what it was, a dive. 2025. Rhea then started hitting riptides, and when that didn't work, because once again people were breaking up pins, so screw this, and she took Io Sky to the top of Tina the Turnbuckle. She hit an avalanche version of her finisher, and just as she was going to win, Naomi went, wait a minute, I'm a WWE superstar in a three-way, and she snuck up behind Rhea and gave her the most devastating move. In all of sports entertainment, surprise roll-up, and she held the tights, because there's no DQs in triple threat matches, and she got the 1, 2, 3, and she ran away. Shout out to Rhea Ripley as well. Her facial expression after this was awesome. She looked genuinely upset. I also love the fact there's no disqualifications in these, because why didn't someone just bring a gun to the ring? And look, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley can now be a part of a forever feud. Naomi, in terms of her character and just sneaking away with that title, was totally great. I am giving it an up. You can just basically put any combination of the women on the main roster together, and they will give you something decent at the very least. This was really, really, really good. Well worth your time. Up. When we got Insanity, because it was the TLC match, featuring the SmackDown tag teams, and I think the best way to do this is I am just going to tell you some of the things that happened. Because Joe Gacy at one point missed the ladder spot and just went splat on the outside and took one of the worst falls you've ever seen. Fenix got on Andrade's shoulders at one point to try and get the titles, but the Street Profits absolutely murdered them. And fair play to the Street Profits too, because at one point they screwed up a spot and they just kept going and made it work. They are so good together. And this dive / throw that Montez Ford did, we put a 1 on the dive counter, but you've got to see it. It is absolutely crazy, but not as crazy as Axiom and Angelo Dawkins, who did a Spanish fly off the top rope through a table, and their legs just went crashing into barricade. I ain't even kidding. We have seen a lot of insane things in TLC matches. This has got to be top 5. I watched it like 9 times, and even on the 9th time, I was like, what the flub are we doing? Tables also exploding like crazy, and just before this, Fenix did a splash of the frogs through one, and that too made me go, well, he's got to be dead. How can he be alive? And eventually, B-Fab, Candice LeRae, and Nikki Cross were getting into it, and man, Candice climbed up this ladder, I presume to get the briefcase for Johnny Gargano and Tomasso Ciampa, when the Street Profits pushed DIY into that ladder, and the fall that Candice took. Johnny Gargano was hilarious too, because he was like, don't worry, wifey, I'll go and get that briefcase. Not a briefcase, I'll go get that title. But this is another thing you have to go and watch, and somebody needs to tell me that Candice LeRae is okay. Eric Rowan also ran in at one point to put a 1 on the dick board because there was so much distraction, interference, and confusion in this match. And when Nathan Frazier decided, I can be Jeff Hardy and Edge, I can do a spear off the ladder, Tomasso Ciampa basically did a sit-up, so Nathan fell to the floor. That's another one. I was basically writing people's death reports. I was like, how can they survive? Uncle Howdy also got in there to throw more people through tables. And genuinely, we must have seen like 42,000 table breaks. When poor Fenix got murked once again, and how he was still walking by this stage, I do not know. when amazingly, it was Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy, or Dexter I suppose, that climbed that ladder after they'd done their double team finishing maneuver, and they retained the titles. Now really, it didn't matter who was going to win this, because that's just the way the SmackDown Tag Division works. It's like, well, you can have it and then we'll have it. But in terms of effort, you have to give this a huge round of applause. It was like watching a live car wreck. It also made me turn into an old man. I was like, okay, listen, absolutely amazing. Maybe we need to start dialing it back a little bit, because some of the bumps here were absolutely terrifying. I'm just going to be your dad. Somebody's going to get hurt. It really was pretty incredible stuff, though. Imagine we did another one today, and the rule was you have to escalate this. I don't think it would have been possible. I'm giving it up. And also, it did kind of surprise me. I did not think the Wyatts were going to win. When Becky Lynch came out to new entrance music, and I feel the same way about this and do about a Carter's theme, I get it. It does make sense. They're heels now, and you don't want fans to sing along. But I don't like it. I'm just a creature of habit, I suppose. But there are bigger things to talk about on this show, so we'll just move by. But it was for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. She was taking on Lyra Valkyria, and this was like a no DQ match. So I'm going to throw in a down, because I realised, apart from Dominik, Mysterio and AJ Styles, who also use shenanigans, it was basically no DQ, no DQ, no DQ, no DQ. You can't do that for every single match. It's the law of diminishing returns, and I actually thought it hindered Becky and Lyra here, because when they got a tape out, the fans just went, yeah, we just saw all of them break. We don't need to see another one. I don't think that was very well thought out down. I was happy though, because I got this right and said Becky Lynch was going to win. And as always, shout out to the people that sent me death threats, because I predicted Lynch. It's almost like social media is breaking down. And I will say, if we're going to play the stupid comparison game, which you shouldn't do, because comparison is the thief of joy, this was arguably the least best match that Lyra and Becky have had, but they still had some fun spots, although one of them did go a bit awry, because Becky Lynch got those zip ties, and she zip tied Lyra's hands up. When they had this sort of weird belly-to-belly, that didn't go right. When the zip ties accidentally came unglued, so I assume, thinking the camera wasn't on her, I went up, and she pushed her hands back together. Even the commentators talked about this. I think you probably should have ignored it. It also killed me at the start as well, because Becky Lynch had a kendo stick. So Lyra introduced a crowbar that we'll call Christina. Christina the crowbar. I was like, I'm sorry, listen, a kendo stick hurts. I've been hit by kendo sticks. But a crowbar? That's attempted murder. We always had a chain, and at one point Lynch was just strangling Lyra Valkyria around Rhea the ring post. And I would put a 1 on the crime counter, but you know, the rules are anything goes. So if you are going to kill someone, as opposed to WWE has decided that's fine. We also teased a toolbox, and how many times do I have to tell you, never use a toolbox again, because it brings me back to 2019, if you know, you know. When Lyra Valkyria powered up, she increased her MP, and she hit a Nightwing on Ciampa the steel steps that looked disgusting. Eventually, Tina the turnbuckle got exposed as well, so of course Becky made sure that Lyra went flying into that thing, and the stomp that Becky Lynch did on this chair, that was another one. I was like, well, if Lyra Valkyria comes up like Gunther did on night 1 with a broken nose, I'll be like, well, yeah, what were you expecting? Of course she kicked out. Well, she would have kicked out, but this happened on the outside of the ring, because that was the whole point, because then all of a sudden Becky Lynch had the crowbar, and she had decided it's the end for you, Lyra. When Bayley, of course, ran to the ring, she took this weapon off Becky, and for 1 second decided, well, maybe I'll hit Lyra Valkyria instead. Now, she didn't. That doesn't make any sense. That's 2 + 2 = potato. If you ran out there to save Lyra, why would looking at Becky Lynch make you go, oh man, that's a really good point. Maybe I should murder her as well. With so much attempted death in this match. The aftermath was really cool, because from nowhere, Lyra hit this leg drop and absolutely killed Becky Lynch. Then they got back into the ring, and by this point, Bayley was a little bit mad. So she got that chain, and she went to punch Bex. She totally missed. She hit Lyra Valkyria instead. This is when I got a little bit more confused, because Becky Lynch hit the manhandle slam on Lyra Valkyria. Bayley was clearly upset, but she didn't run in to break the pin. She just went, oh no, I can't believe we've done it, as the referee went 1, 2, 3. Now I presume we'll get to Raw, and Bales will be like, ha ha ha, I did this on purpose because I have turned heel. But in the moment, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna say it really quietly so nobody else gets mad. This one was a little bit overbooked. I think the most important part, though, is that it was still super duper fun. Like, I was laughing at a lot of this stuff, like, oh, I can't believe that just happened. But I still had a good time, and there should be no rule book on what classifies as a good or bad time, even if things do go a little bit wibbly-jibbly. So I am going to give it an up. And also, I'm a big fan of Becky Lynch retaining that title, because now Lyra Valkyria can go totally mad. She can never challenge for the Intercontinental Championship as long as Becky has it. That is way better than just beating Becky Lynch and doing whatever the flub you want to do, because now Bayley and Lyra can have a proper feud without a title, because they should hate each other. And I'm sure Becky Lynch can be involved too. So ultimately, even with its foibles, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoy these three people. Let's get it up. Then go back to the point I just made, because it was Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu for the men's US title in a steel cage. So once again, it was just shenanigans, and the dick board put a 1 on it, and it was just people running in but no disqualifications. I understand it makes the show, I suppose, more entertaining because you can do whatever you want. It's also just a bit lazy. I don't mean that as negatively as it sounds, but you shouldn't give everybody carte blanche, because if everybody has it, well, it just feels like the norm. And also, you're going to precondition fans, this is just the way. Michael Cole basically exposed the dick board at the start of this too, because he was like, you do know, ever since Solo Sikoa lost to Roman Reigns at the start of the year, well, he hasn't really been beaten, mostly because he's had a bunch of no contests or other wrestlers have run in the ring. I tell you, and I will keep telling you for the rest of 2025, distraction, interference, and confusion. The best part was Fatu was actually no sell in the cage, because he is crazy, when he came back with all the hip attacks and all the moonsault. And amazingly, Solo Sikoa was able to survive that. When the MFTs were like, boys, our leader is getting beaten up, and we are in WWE. Let's go to the ring. Now, thankfully, Jimmy Uso was Batman, so he was keeping an eye on these guys, but he forgot that Tonga was there, and Tonga is really tall, so he grabbed Jimbo and he threw him over on the announce table. Jacob was really great here, though, because at that point he could have escaped the cage, but he decided, no, I must totally ruin the life of Solo Sikoa. That's when I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to lose. That's the only reason you would do that. We then did use handcuffs, which is exactly the same as what we did in the last match, because that's the same as zip ties, just with a different material. So I am going to give that down as well. I'm kind of just giving the same idea down twice here, but I can't help it. Just as fun as this whole SummerSlam Night 2 was, there was a lot of copy and paste. I've already talked about this. I don't think you want to do that. Every match should feel fresh and unique. Like bread. That was cool because it just meant that Jacob Fatu could explode out of this. So when it comes to metal-type objects, they can't hold Jacob down. When he went over to the door as Solo Sikoa tried to escape, he slammed the door into JC Mateo's face when Tonga was like, how dare you? You know how tall I am. He took the door. He smashed it into Jacob Fatu's eyes. How he didn't see this coming, I don't know. When Solo Sikoa kind of fell to the floor. Don't know how I feel about this. It was a bit wonky. But overall, I suppose it was a good time, especially because after this, JC Mateo and Tangaloa got locked in the cage. Jacob Fatu absolutely murked them when he went up to the top of the cage and he did the moonsault down below. That's another thing that I can tell I need to calm down. Eventually, it's going to go bad. Actually, I don't mind Solo Sikoa winning by accident either, because that guy's so damn funny and he makes me laugh. I am going to give it an up, but I'll be honest with you, it's a bit of a limp up, which is not a euphemism. Like, this was totally fine, but I don't really think it felt like a SummerSlam match. I actually think it ties into the other bouts we've already talked about, because there was so many shenanigans. When you've got extra shenanigans here, or at least deep down in my tum-tum, I just wanted something a little bit different. But it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, and I really like Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, so I'm giving it a limp up. There you go, see? It's kind of floppy. And I think you could take all of that and tie it into the next match as well, because Dominik, Mysterio, and AJ Styles did do the opposite, because they decided, well, we are going to have a good, solid match, and Dominik Mysterio went for the Three Amigos, but AJ Styles then turned that into a brainbuster instead. But also, given the build, why don't we do some goofy wrestling for life, which tied into AJ Styles' entrance. Not only did he come out in an Eddie Guerrero-inspired lowrider, but his gear was all about Eddie too. So when Dominik got a chair, and he did the pass it to AJ Styles and pretend I'm dead, AJ just looked at the referee and was like, well, he's not looking, he's distracted, and he wrapped that thing around his neck and fell to the floor. This was genuinely laugh out loud funny. It's also just wonderful because let's face it, Eddie was doing this spot over 20 years ago and it still gets a pop. And the way AJ Styles and Dominik Mysterio both recovered when they realized the official's not going to buy it, it made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. We actually tied all of this into Guerrero too because AJ Styles kept going for the calf crusher and eventually, can you believe it, Dommy Boy's boot came off. So as soon as the referee had been distracted for the umpteenth time, Dominik Mysterio took his shoe who hit who with a shoe. He smacked AJ Styles, which apparently knocked him out, so there must have been a brick in there, when Dominik Mysterio hit the Splash of the Frogs, 1, 2, 3. So listen, you have to take a leap of faith with this, but I was laughing my ass off throughout all of it. I never actually thought they would have taken all the stuff they did beforehand and throw it into this match. I'm going to use a word that I never use, but I mean it. I think I was delighted. Also, this was the penultimate match of the show, and it felt totally different to everything else. I think all things considered, this may have been my highlight, which is very personal to me. I am going to give it an up. I thought it was an absolute joy. When, yes, we did get to our main event for the WWE title, John Cena taking on Cody Rhodes. And people keep telling me, oh, John Cena can't go anymore. Well, he just took that idea and he stuck it up your tuchus. This was probably John Cena's best match in about a decade. I thought it absolutely kicked ass. We had WrestleMania type entrances here too, because Cody Rhodes came out to like Dusty Rhodes quotes, which was very nice, and he came out with his Cody Vader as well, whereas John Cena walked out with his nothing Titantron, and all of a sudden the colours just burst into life. As silly and as dumb as that was, it is perfect pro wrestling. It made me feel something, man. Now we have to wind the clock back 48 hours. I do admit that the fact he did just turn magically face on SmackDown was a little bit silly, but we talked about it on Friday, and now we can just draw a line under it, but we probably should have just eked it out a little bit more. I mean, the other reasoning for this could be that a Care Bear took over the production truck. He was like, ha ha, purples, blues, and yellows, when these two, given that it was a street fight, just absolutely whooped each other, which kind of goes back to all these other matches. I think we should have saved all the over-the-top spots for these dudes. As was always going to happen too, the fans were so behind John Cena, and they booed Cody Rhodes, especially when he started using Simba the Steel Steps. At one point, he gave a pile driver to Cena, and the fans started to chant, "You can't do that." And they booed him again. I really don't think it matters because, again, it is just sort of a WrestleMania crowd. Cody Rhodes was hitting disaster kicks, he was hitting Cody cutters, but nothing was able to keep John down because we've gone back to Super Cena, but you know we're in a different era because that's what the fans chanted. They don't care. John Cena soon hit the first AA of the match, but again, this was a WrestleMania type main event, so we have to hit at least 47 of these before we do get to the end. When we went to the outside and Cody Rhodes hit a crossroads out there, so they climbed onto alley and outs tables, so John Cena threw him to a table with an AA. And honestly, if it wasn't for those meddling kids, Jonathan would have had this one. When I say meddling kids, I mean the fact he had to get Cody Rhodes back in the ring, 1-2-0. Cody then got another crossroads, but John Cena kicked out of that 1-2. But honestly, they were having such a good match, I don't think anybody cared, especially when they started to brawl in the crowd, and they went into Barricade, and they went under the stage. And the reason they did this is because they were going to rise from the Cody elevator, and John Cena had Cody in the AA position, and the look on his face, he could not hide his smile. He knew how ridiculous and how goofy Wrestling for Life this was, and he just hit AA onto Cody Rhodes when his big plan was, right, up we go, and he walked him all the way down to the ring, and actually went, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted, and you would be. Cody is not a small man. At the same time, it was the spot of the night. Cody instantly realized that too, and he threw John Cena through a table, which was for the 52nd time on this evening, and hit another crossroads, but John Cena kicked out of that. But actually the best 1-2 is Cody Rhodes did his whole, I'm going to hit it 3 times, and this will definitely be the finale of this contest, and man, Cena kicked out of that 1-2. This place went absolutely crazy. So that's a round of applause. They reeled him in. At one point too, Cody undid the bottom rope and used that as a weapon when he got even more jeered. When we did WWE's favourite spot of 2025, Cody was like, oh man, what am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this. When he remembered, no more hesitations. So he went Britney Spears because oops, he did it again. Cena then hit a bunch more AAs, and because Cody wouldn't stay down, he had an avalanche version, which also didn't work, when John was like, well, they say if something doesn't work, just do it again. So they went back to the top rope. Cody Rhodes reversed it into this kind of Cody cutter through a table. Either way, it looked pretty devastating when you knew the end was coming. John Cena was all WWF No Mercy on his feet. Cody gave him this salute, which is a little bit heelish, I suppose, but not really. He grabbed the crossroads, he hit it, he got the 1-2-3. Cody Rhodes now a 2-time champion, and they did the whole passing of the torch bit. And I was like, what a great way to end SummerSlam. Cody left the ring. We gave John Cena his moment. Now he does have 6 months of doing a babyface. Please roll the credits. Just let's get out of here. before we do get to the next part. I'm giving it an up. I think it is one of John Cena's best matches in ages, like I've already said, and it is one of the best WWE matches of the year. Plus, you got a title change. It was so damn good. And if you are trying to turn SummerSlam into Hot WrestleMania, this is the kind of good shit we need. Totally fantastic. Totally getting it up. Now, of course, that is not where it ended, because we entered some kind of Phantom Zone realm, because Brock Lesnar's music hit. He came to the ring, meaning SummerSlam 2025 Night 2 ended with Brock taking off his cowboy hat, getting in the ring, and laying Jonathan Cena out with an AA. Now, we do have to talk about this, and we can't ignore it, and by the time this goes live, maybe more information has come out there. But the reason Brock Lesnar hasn't been seen on television for 2 years is because he's involved in that Vince McMahon lawsuit. So listen, if he has been cleared or there's new information out there, WWE absolutely needs to talk about this. Instead, they cancelled their press conferences. I'm just going to say this, that is not a good look at all. And we fans do deserve answers, because it is out there in the public sphere. You need to know, should we have done this? Shouldn't we have done this? Are we allowed to be happy that Brock Lesnar's back? Are we not allowed to be happy that Brock Lesnar's back? Again, it's a lawsuit, so you have to be very careful how you talk about it. That's just how the law works. But I feel totally dumbfounded by this, because if you read that thing, none of that stuff is cool. In fact, it's some of the worst thing your eyes will ever see. And if that's the case, and nothing has changed, well, Brock Lesnar should not be back. But again, as of me talking to you, I have no context, because nobody has given me context. The people that go, well, WWE doesn't owe you an explanation. Yes, they do, because again, I'm a fan, and I've seen this stuff, so I need somebody in charge and somebody who has knowledge to tell me this is what is going on. Otherwise, it's just not good, and it's not good at all. And on a far less important level, I actually want to see Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. We've done that 42,000 times. I think it's way more fun to do new matches. This really does feel like a massive misstep by WWE. I understand people getting excited about it in the moment, but then when the other information gets in your brain, well, it's just a very complicated and not fun situation at all. So no ups, no downs. That's a stupid gimmick when we're trying to have fun. This is not fun. This is serious stuff. And this is people's lives we're talking about, and people's mental health and capacity and how they exist every single day. So yes, I would like more information, please. I mean, you can read it for yourself. I'll just repeat it, because I don't know how else to say it. Some of the worst stuff you will ever see in your life. Which brought us to the end of SummerSlam Night 2, and again, that ending has just thrown everything out of the window. I don't really know what to say about it, but if we just kind of clonk it there, I would give the rest of it an up, mostly for that main event, and the open as well, which I thought was totally great. But overall, I would say, I still don't think SummerSlam needs to be 2 nights. We're most definitely doing that next year, and we'll do it for the Royal Rumble and the Survivor Series too. So I hope you like your big weekenders, because they are coming. Now, of course, please do drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought about SummerSlam overall. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is my review for SummerSlam Night 1. Otherwise, that is it. I personally am going to take a break from wrestling for a few days, and obviously we do ups and downs for Raw, but I'm going to leave social media and stuff, because I need to digest everything that has happened. I just would much rather we lived in a world where we can just talk about wrestling, and these awful deeds aren't even a thing. I mean, that's me living in La La Land, but hopefully you take my point. Anyway, I hope you are okay. Have a lovely few days, and I'll see you soon.